I am having a really good time in the stream, and sometimes it feels so good I'm afraid. Like I was driving here and I was thinking about how great my life is, and I get really emotional and I feel just so abundant and so blessed and everything is so great. And then I have a feeling like, well, my husband will probably die. I feel like it's maybe a position of unworthiness, or that whole sacrificial thing.
Don't make too much of it, because it really is simpler than that. In other words, people talk about waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly.
And there is a sort of feeling within you that maybe things shouldn't be going so well for me, because I look around and things aren't going that well for others, and who am I for things to go well?
It's embarrassing.
But here is what we think is happening, and this is the part that we really want you to hear. So the reason that you are doing so well is because you have, one way or another, found how to find more thoughts that are in alignment with what you do want. And so that's why you're beginning to feel the momentum. Imagine a car going 100 miles an hour and hitting a tree. It's a bigger problem than a car going 5 miles an hour and hitting a tree. So what happens is, the more you deliberately apply thought, and the faster the stream moves, then the more it behooves you to watch where you're going. In other words, haven't you ever piddled around in a parking lot at 2 miles an hour, and you can pretty much put your makeup on at the same time? But when you're going 85 miles an hour, and you're driving the monster bus, and you have a car in tow behind you, and you have about 80,000 pounds rolling down this highway, you sort of kind of want to watch what you're doing. In other words, the stakes are higher the faster the energy moves. Just the fact that things are going well means energy is moving faster. So a slightly out of sync thought sticks out like a bigger sore thumb. But that's all it is. It's just a thought of resistance. That's all it is. So as you're having those good thoughts, you say, I'm moving along, and then I have a thought that frightens me. You said the stream frightens me, but we want to say it differently. We want to say, I'm moving along with thoughts that are causing me to feel the momentum of my motion forward, and then, for whatever reason, I'm choosing a thought that turns me upstream. That's all that's happening. Downstream, 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 upstream. Downstream, 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 upstream. That's all that's happening.
I feel vulnerable. I think would be the word that would categorize it for me. I feel vulnerable, like things are so great, and I shouldn't let my guard down, because something could be lurking in the background that I'm not aware of, or there's going to be some experience that's going to set me back, and then I'll have to recover.
Well, every subject, no matter what it is two subjects. When you pick up the stick that has wellness on one end, it has sickness on the other. And when you pick up the stick that has abundance on one end, it has not abundance on the other. And so it's possible that on some of these subjects, you just haven't focused long enough with enough intent to really be sure that your vibration is where you want it to be. Esther said to Jerry, as she was getting ready to come down, she saw this room last night and she was aware of its configuration, and she said to Jerry, it's better if I don't see the room before I walk into it. And Jerry says, why is that? And Esther said, because when I look at the room from Esther's point of view, it looks one way to me. And when I look at the room through Abraham's eyes, it looks another way. And Jerry said, well, what's the difference? And Esther said, well, maybe I feel a little self-consciousness when I look through my eyes. Maybe I feel a little stage fright when I look through my eyes. And I never feel that when I look through Abraham's eyes. So what we're wanting you to understand is, sometimes you're just more in alignment with who you are than others. You're in the process of coming into complete alignment with who you are. And so those things that you call fears, it doesn't mean that something bad's going to happen. It means this thought is contrary to what I want to happen. That's what it means. This thought is contrary to what I want to happen. So stop, bless yourself for your awareness of the guidance, and then talk to yourself about how silly that thought was. In other words, talk yourself back into alignment. No matter how wonderful your life becomes, you're still standing on a platform where you're asking for more. So there are always unknowns. But when you have shown yourself the universal response to your deliberate aligning of thought relative to one subject, then you begin to trust in the universal's response to others. In other words, when you get it that you are worthy, then you stop worrying about so many things. You used that word. You said, I think it's something about my not feeling that I deserve it. And we say, and every time you say that, you turn back upstream. You almost choke on those words. I think I'm not deserving. Then how do you explain the well-being that's flowing? Well, maybe I'm only as deserving as the well-being that is flowing. Maybe I'm asking for more than my fair share. And we say, feel how your inner being feels about that. Feel how screwy thoughts like that are.
Silly.
That's the way you know. You are where you are, and you want to be someplace in relationship to where you are. And that guidance is always, always there. And in every case, negative emotion means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean something bad is going to happen and you're being warned. It means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean you are unworthy and aren't going to get what you want. It means you're turned away from what you want. It doesn't mean you should have done something earlier in this life in a different way or in a past life. It doesn't mean you needed a blessing from someone outside of you. It means you're turned away from what you want. That's all negative emotion ever means. I'm pointed this way when I want to go this way. Can you imagine Jerry and Esther, they're out in the desert and they're headed back to Phoenix, and Esther's saying, I wanted to go to San Diego. I wanted to go to San Diego, and look, we're only 30 miles from Phoenix now. Look, we're 29 miles from Phoenix. I wanted to go to San Diego, but look. And Jerry would say, you've got your hand on the steering wheel. Turn the car around. Turn the car around and go the other direction. That's all the negative emotion is saying to you. It's not saying you're bad. It's not saying you're wrong. It's not saying you should have done something differently. It's saying you're pointed in opposition to what you want. That's all it means.
So you can't wish for too much then. There's no greediness or overabundance or misaligned energy wanting more than what your really fair share is in this life.
Of course not, because it is your desire that summons it. Your willingness to sift through the data causes you to give birth to the desire that summons all of the resources to fulfill the desire. So the more of you are asking, the more resources are coming forth. So you're adding to the universe. You're adding to the expanded universe. There's not a finite amount of goodies that you're all squabbling over, although that's the way most of you act. It's not like that at all. Do you ever say, oh, I've been well for so long, I think I'll be sick for the next 10 years to allow more people to be well? Do you ever say that?
Never.
Of course you don't, because you know there's no correlation. You're not sucking up the wellness and leaving them sick. Has nothing to do with that. And you're not taking more than your fair share of anything. But if you feel negative emotion, you're depriving yourself of your fair share. And you know what your fair share is?
I said thank you. I wanted you to say that.
You're welcome. You know what your fair share is? Your fair share is whatever your life has caused you to ask for that the inner being source part of you has already become. That's your fair share. Your source energy is standing over there with your share, saying, this is your share. You have created this share. We are tending to this share. We are calling you toward the share. And when you point in the direction of the share, that is what is your share. When you point in the direction of your share, you feel good. But if you turn in opposition to your share, you won't feel so good. But it doesn't matter if you turn in opposition to your fair share, because we will eternally stand over here tending to your fair share, because you gave birth to it. It will always be yours. It will never go away. No one will ever take it. And if you point in the direction of it, you will know it and feel it. If you point away from it, you won't feel so good. So if you point away from it and don't feel good, it's not because it's not your fair share, and it's not because somebody else is getting your fair share. It's because you're pointed away from your fair share. Yeah. This abundant universe expands to fulfill the desires of all. And when you are focused singularly on what you want, so much so that you're only in alignment with what you want, oh, the things that happen. Good time for a segment of lunch.
Thank you.
We are complete.